You're listening live on YouTube to the Fourth and Long podcast with Alec Picado. Today's show, you'll get my conference predictions for the American Conference, from standings to who I think is going to be in the conference championship game, along with sleepers and surprise teams in this conference. But without further ado, let's get started. And we are going to start with the standings. At number 14 in the American, I have Charlotte. And I do like the head coach, Tim Albin. But their defense was not very good last year. I think the defense might take a slight step up in 2026. The offense is going to be better. But how much better can the offense be than it was last year? That is something we will have to find out. But for Charlotte, I can't see them winning more than 3 games into Albin's second year. They need to find consistent quarterback play. That's the issue they had in 2025, was consistent quarterback play. That's why they finished last. I think that's why they're going to finish last again here in 2026. Finishing 13th in the American, I have the UAB Blazers. And although I don't agree with them making Alex Mortensen the permanent head coach, I thought they could have went out and snagged somebody from another group of 5 school, or maybe grabbed a coordinator that was looking to get his coaching career started, head coaching career started. UAB is, and their decision makers don't make good decisions, good choices at who they want to be their head coach. They're like Charlotte. Their defense was atrocious last year. Is their defense going to be any better in 2026? I guess we'll have to see. Their offense was okay last year. Are we going to get any improvements in that category? Maybe. In 12th place, I have Rice. And the running joke is we never pick food to win a football game. But Rice has been okay the last couple of years. But I think this is a year where they might surprise a few teams in terms of being halfway decent. And I like the trajectory they're on. I think they have nowhere to go but up. In 11th in the American, I have Tulsa. And I like what Tulsa's been doing the last 2 years. I think they're another team we could see sneak into a bowl game. They have a well-tenured, not the longest tenured head coach in the American, but they have a good head coach who, to my knowledge, did good last year, even though they did not have a very good season. I think they're going to improve this year. 10th in the American, I have FAU. This is year 2 of Zach Kitley. And I think year 2 under Zach Kitley, I think FAU takes a huge step forward to being a consistent contender in the American. 9th in the American, I have Tulane. And I want to say something about Tulane. I watched all the Summeralls, and I know he's the Florida coach now, but I watched all of John Summerall's post game pressers when he was at Tulane last year, and he admittedly said that Tulane was not very good. They were horrible. The team played like garbage. And and they didn't make the best coaching hire to replace Summerall. Will Hall, we've seen him as a head coach before at Southern Miss. It was not very good. And they got ravaged in the portal. So I don't know how good they're actually going to be. At number 8 in the American, I have North Texas. It's a whole new coaching staff. Eric Morris is now at Oklahoma State. Neil Brown is now the head coach. He did have a decently good portal class, but that was because he had to, because most of the kids that were there are now either at other schools or at Oklahoma State with Coach Morris. But I still believe in North Texas. At number 7 in the American, I have UTSA. Jeff Traylor's back for another year. He's got to get a big-time coaching job at some point. You can't keep Coach Traylor in San Antonio much longer. There's going to be somebody that calls and says, Coach Traylor, do you want to come coach at X school? For example, Florida State. If Norvell gets fired, do you think they call up Jeff Traylor and see that he's had all this success at a group of 5 school and that he would probably fit in the state of Florida at Florida State? I think they would at least entertain it. But UTSA they could be good again this year. At number 6 in the American, I have Temple. Casey Keeler, year 1 turnaround under Casey Keeler was unexpected. And I think that upward trajectory is going to continue for Casey Keeler. I think Temple's going to be good this year. I still think they're maybe a year off from being a legit contender in the American. Give Casey Keeler 1 more year. 2027, we could see Temple as one of the teams that's in the top tier of the American. At number 5 in the American, I have Army. They have the longest tenured head coach in the American, Jeff Monken. And they are consistent when it comes to winning games. Army wins 8+ games every year. And again, Army and Navy are not schools where you send your kids to play football. You send your kids there to become young men and learn what it's like to maybe one day be in the military. And I want to say this, Army, Navy, and Air Force, thank y'all. Thank you guys for your service. You deserve it. Number 4 in the American, I have East Carolina. I know most people have East Carolina lower. I'm a little bit bullish on East Carolina. I might be a little bit too high on them. I know they lost a bunch in the portal, but Blake Harrell seems to know how to develop talent and bring guys in that were at the Power 4 level, bring them down to the group of 5, get them to play well. And I think ECU could be one of the teams in the American that if the 3 teams in front of them slip up, you could see ECU, Temple, and Army one of those three or two of them make the conference championship game. At number 3 in the American, I have the Memphis Tigers. And Memphis, Ryan Silverfield's gone. He's now at Arkansas. He took some of his guys with him to Arkansas. Charles Huff comes in from Marshall. And he brought some of his Louis luggage with him from Marshall. I still think Memphis is one of the top contenders in the American. Unless you can convince me otherwise, and please try to. But I honestly see Memphis as one of the 3 best teams in the American. Second, and number 2 in the American, I have Navy. Navy, Brian Newberry's back for his 3rd year. And I'm hoping to try to get an interview scheduled with a few college football coaches, maybe down the road. But back to Navy. Again, like I said about Army, Navy's the same way. Consistently winning between 8 to 10 games a year. And again, like I said about Army, I'll repeat about Navy. You don't necessarily send your kid to Navy to play sports. You send them there to become a young man. But Navy and Army have showed that they can be really consistent on the football field. And my number 1 team in the American, yes, I am a South Florida fan, but this is non-biased South Florida fan speaking here, is the South Florida Bulls. And new head coach Brian Hartline. 53 returning players, 14 transfers. He brought a couple guys from Ohio State with him. I really believe that Brian Hartline can bring Ohio State, South Florida, to the college football playoff, which next Thursday I will have a video on my college football playoff predictions. And now the moment y'all have all been waiting for, my American Conference Championship game. My American Conference Championship game for 2026. I have the South Florida Bulls and the Memphis Tigers. I think, other than Navy in the top 3, I think Memphis and South Florida are probably your 2 locks to be in the conference title game. But then again, if something happens, like if USF has a lot of injuries or Memphis has a lot of injuries, I'll rattle off 3 sleeper teams here. ECU, Temple, Army. One of those 3 teams could replace South Florida or Memphis in the American Championship game. And there's only maybe 3 teams I would consider as playoff hopefuls in the American. It is South Florida, and I just explained it a minute ago. Brian Hartline is the head coach. 53 returning players, 14 transfers, and he said at Media Day, the best players, the players that perform the best, are going to be the ones that start. Then you got Charles Huff, Memphis. I could see Memphis being a playoff team. And then the last one is Navy. I could see the midshipmen sneaking into the playoff if they have a really good year. The thing with Navy is they do not play South Florida this year. Memphis does. Memphis plays USF at USF this year, as compared to last year when Memphis played USF at home and beat USF. But that is not it for the show. I am going to make my announcement as to where I'm going in 2026 for the college football season. Week 4, September 26th, I will be in Knoxville, Tennessee for the Tennessee-Texas football game. Yes, that is official. Everything has been put into place. Got game ticket, got hotel. We will be going to the Tennessee-Texas game. I'm very excited. I will be telling you what to expect. I'm probably going to vlog a little bit when I'm in Knoxville that Friday and Saturday. If you see me around in Knoxville that weekend, stop and say hi, and you can ask for autograph, ask for picture, just ask for advice, stop and talk to me. Don't be afraid, I don't bite. First ever Tennessee Vols football game. But that's going. If you've enjoyed this video, this podcast episode, please remember, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and check out the sportsbreakdown.net website. I am working on more stuff for the website. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you with another podcast episode tomorrow.